Dawson Rider with you.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here with my review of Mega Mighty's Red Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. Not to be confused with Mighty Mugs, or Freak the Mighty, or anything else, but this is from the Playskool Heroes line. It's kind of like the equivalent of Imagine X for Hasbro. You might have seen them around for, like, you know, Marvel and stuff like that, but we're getting Power Ranger stuff. This was the first thing I was able to get my hands on. There is also a Black Ranger one. Let's take a look at the smanciest box of all time. I mean, no, not really anything fancy. I mean, here's the guy. Spoiler alert, that's what he looks like. The logo, you know, Playskool Heroes. This is kind of like a stylized look. You'll find that on the packaging for the little minifigures too, but see, there's the Black Ranger there. But yeah, they're basically just big musclehead figures. I almost feel like it's, in a way, a parody of how people felt about a lot of the Bandai America figures, but it's just like, you know, a real figure. But yeah, this is basically, you know, a fun, kind of ridiculous scaled toy mainly for kids. I mean, this line in general is the most targeted towards kids, and so your mileage may vary if you're a collector. There is some things out of this line I'm interested in, like I think a couple of the Zord choices look interesting. I'm into the little collectible minifigures, but this isn't so much for us unless you're, you know, super into getting every version of MMPR. MMPR is your absolute favorite. You're like, oh, MMPR, and you have to get every stylized version. But yeah, it's a stylized musclehead figure. It's not too bad. It actually has a surprising amount of articulation. Like, you can see here, the head articulation is pretty solid. I'm actually impressed you can actually get a bunch of different angles out of it. You even have a hinge joint here. A lot of times with toys like these, you just see it being this, but the hinge joint adds to it. The hands are obviously fixed in the pose. You have like a karate chop hand and a fist hand. That's just a hand. And then, you know, you got swiveling at the waist here. No leg articulation. I mean, it would just kind of be doing a weird, I don't know, like stick figure-y looking pose with that. And the details are pretty minimal. I mean, it's pretty hard to mess up the MMPR suit because you only have to do 2 colors and some triangles. Like, you would have to try to mess that up. You know, there's not a lot of details on the belt, but they actually, you know, mold the T-Rex coin fairly nicely. The head obviously isn't in, you know, regular proportion. It's got very minimal details on there. They forgot to do the lining around this, just like the Legacy figure. There is something kind of weird, which again, I'm sure kids won't notice, but something weird about the way this looks and feels. Like, it feels like there's a glossier finish here, and then it goes into a more, like a more or less glossy finish. That's some really good English, but I don't know, there's just something weird about it. I just noticed that right away. Like, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but even if you feel this, that's also weird. But it just, I don't know, that's just kind of weird for me. But, you know, not the best details, but not the worst either, considering what this is supposed to be. And again, other than the helmets, it's pretty hard to mess up an MMPR figure detail-wise, and it basically just serves the purpose of looking like the MMPR Red Ranger. But yeah, overall, I think this is something that some kids might enjoy. I don't really see the appeal in it. It's like, hey, it's just a big muscly figure. Like, I think there's way more fun-looking things from this line for kids. But again, for collectors, it's definitely something that you can probably skip unless, like I said, you're into getting every variation MMPR, or you're super into MMPR Red and you need every version of the figure of him, like, you know, all these stylized looks, or if you're just into the stylized look. I mean, I've been there. Sometimes they do weird stylized figures and I just really like the design of it. So yeah, but nothing too special to write home about. As I said, as of right now, I know they're doing Black Ranger. I feel like I remember seeing blue, but I could be imagining it, but I can't imagine he's too far down the pipeline. Anyway, that's about it for this one. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps, and ring that bell notifications for all my videos. Until next time, Dawson Rider, signing out.